All
Okay.
right. So we are now, this is episode 2 of Truth Talks here, which is our client podcast series. And today I have Steve. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. Overall, other than battling a little, a
COVID?
little bit here, I'm doing pretty good.
Good, good, good. So, no, other than COVID, I agree. I think things have been going pretty well for you. So maybe give us a bit of a background for those who don't know you. Kind of give us a rundown of your fitness journey when you start. So you're around 40 right now. So maybe back when you were younger, how was your fitness journey growing up, and kind of the story up until now?
Okay. Yeah. So I did just turned 40 this year. So I've had a few pretty good years of training under my belt there. Like growing up, my parents were pretty open of letting us try whatever we wanted. So it was, try a year of soccer, try a year of basketball, just little things here and there. And then, I did baseball for a couple of years, which was fun. And then I guess probably when I was about 13, yeah, I want to say about 13, I got into flat water kayaking. Kind of randomly. I was going to go do some whitewater kayaking, and I didn't know there was a difference between the two. So
Neither did
I was
I.
like, no, no, I didn't. I had no idea. So I was like, oh, there's a tryout kayaking thing down in Mississauga, and I went for one little trial day. It was even inside. It was in like April, and I was hooked. I was like, this is awesome. So I spent the next 10 years just
Wow.
doing that. So it was the season itself was from um, like May to September. So during that time, we were just focused on speed, 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 a lot of quick work, and then in the winters it was more endurance and strength, and that just cycle repeated for 10 years, just gradually, hopefully, gradually getting better
Getting better.
as things went on, and I transitioned into some coaching through there, and then life kicked in and university kicked in, and I was like, well, I can't compete at this high level, 25 hours a week in the sport on the water or swimming or running or whatever they could do. So then, yeah, probably when I started university, the path split. So now I was away from exercise. I stumbled and fumbled my way through the next, I don't know, probably 10 years. I had a kayak. I sold it and bought a bike and thought, well, I'll do some biking. I did that for a while. I'm like, well, I enjoy swimming and biking seems to be okay, and I'm a decent runner. So why don't I try triathlons a little bit? And so I did that for on and off for a couple of years. Like nothing, never really got into anything. Um,
Okay.
you know, just I found I just really struggled from 21 to 30 more or less, like with just spatterings of, I'd get motivated for a bit and I'd do a bit of running and I'd go and, run a race and then do nothing for a while.
Okay.
So through my 30s, I just same thing. I just kind of found a little bit of kind of random stuff. I got back into running a little bit over the last probably 5 6 years. Had a few friends were like, let's train, let's do a half marathon. We're like, great. Mountain Equipment Co-op had this series where you could do like 6 races for like $40, and you started we were gonna do like five, a couple of tens, and then a half, and we're like, this is awesome.
Nice.
And then after the second race, like four of the guys that I was with all backed out. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
okay. so so I ended up running the half marathon and being in a lot of pain, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm clearly too fat for this anymore, and I haven't been training. Um, so yeah, so I just kind of, like I said, just stumbled and fumbled, and I found some people to run with. Um, After that half marathon, I'm like, I found some people through the running room and gotten with a great group, and we were running and eventually trained for the Around the Bay 30K with the group, and then a full marathon a few years ago, and it was
Nice.
like, I think my Strava account exploded. I was like 1,100 kilometers of running in
Oh my
one
God.
year, and it was great. It felt good, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do.
Right.
Um,
So
You know,
you had kind of like different seasons. You had a kayak season, then you kind of had no man's land season, we'll call it, and then you had the marathon season or just running season. But you're saying kind of the physique that you were looking at, even though you enjoyed the running and the challenge, the physique you were looking at wasn't necessarily something that you were super happy with. Is that kind of if I'm
yeah, like,
understanding
you
that?
know, it felt good to lose a few pounds while I was running for sure. Like I've never been big, although I think I was at my peak when I got married, and then I'm like, well, okay, this is too much. Let's bring it back to something a little bit more acceptable in the mirror. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like running was just sinewy. Like it wasn't. I felt good because because I was 10 pounds lighter than just because I was running all the time, but it didn't look like. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I didn't have shape. I didn't have definition. I didn't just like, okay, I'm slim, and slim
Gotcha.
was fine, I guess. But but you just start flipping through the internet and you start looking around. Some guys that I used to know back in the day that are in their mid 40s, late 40s, still ripped, and I'm like, you know what? This is time to maybe change, like flip the script a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
get out of that. And that's when my wife Amelia, she was like, hey, this guy Paris that I knew once from F45 does this training thing. You should chat. And I was like, okay, because let's see what we can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's so for the last, well, I guess not even just over a year we've been together.
Wow. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because it was July 1st last year.
yeah, like
Um,
13 months. Wow.
so this is the first time that I have done weight training with purpose.
Nice.
So we weight trained it back in high school when I was paddling, but it was all just kind of general strength more than anything, and I don't think I really appreciated it back then because
Mm-hmm.
I had little skinny arms and I had no legs and no abs. I really had no muscles. I think I was just same thing. I was like 150 pounds or 140 pounds, and the muscles were there only because there was nothing else on it. But
Gotcha.
yeah, this is now into a weight training with purpose is the way that I kind of have
Nice.
looked at it,
Nice.
and feels right. It feels good.
Awesome.
Um, you know, the the last year, obviously, we've had a few little kind of mini goals in there, and there's
Mm-hmm.
there's always a long term effect, but everything that we have is like a plan for something, and I can see where we're going, and
Right.
I'm like, yeah, now this feels good. There is purpose. I can put shape on. I can look in the mirror. Maybe not as much over the last couple of weeks, but I can look in the mirror
Far from
and
right now.
feel much better about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Fitting a shirt a little better. Like, I although I need to new, I think I need a whole new wardrobe of pants because none of them fit me anymore.
Yeah, that's funny because I was talking to our other client, James. We have two Jameses, but one of the James A, was saying the same thing. He's like, now I got to go shopping for a full new wardrobe. So I'm like, it's a celebration shop. So if you got to
Yeah,
buy a whole bunch of new pants, Steve, I say it's a celebration shop.
yeah, I think I could handle that, right?
Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, and you're being kind of modest too, because we took Steve kind of from where he was, and he actually did a competition prep a few months ago. So he competed with me in that. So that was like a big process. So kind of if I see it as a timeline, it's like at the beginning we just got our feet wet and started learning about macros, tracking food, getting training in gear, knowing how to train, knowing how things work. So we did a bit of a recomp, and then we turned it up with a bit more focus on fat loss. Then I would say we would focus on training and eating for a little bit. And if I'm right, then we started a competition prep. He just said, screw it, I'm doing it with you. So that was awesome. So we had for that, and then since then we took a little, we took a bit of the handcuffs off to both of us in terms of just doing some vacations and still training obviously, but like not as hardcore as the competition prep is. And then we're kind of now focusing on the momentum on building again, even though had some sickness, but other than that, focus is now on kind of building. So you guys can see Steve is somebody who like really just like dives in, and I think we align on the mindset where we like to have, as you said, like purpose to what we're doing. And I think a lot of people neglect to really set, okay, here is what we're doing right now, and that's that, right? other goals can be set later, but like what's going on right now, and then you just put a plan together for that, right? So that's kind of like the overview of your journey with us so far. But maybe just kind of walk us through how does it feel in your head, kind of coming from where we started, and then would you ever have seen yourself do competition prep or think like that would be something that you
Oh,
would do?
oh God, no. God, no. I mean, I think if you had told me that it was only with those little short shorts or the
The
sparkly
speed up?
thongs, I would have told you, good luck. I'll cheer you on, but that's it. But yeah, if you told me last year or 5 years ago or 20 years ago that one day when you're I like to say that I'm not an old man, but when I think about 40-year-olds, I'm like, man, that seems old. But like if you
No.
told me that as a 40-year-old, I'd be double spray tanned, stated on stage,
Triple spray tan.
triple spray tanned, stated on stage, just trying to flex. No, no, that would have never crossed my mind. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
really, even last fall, like I remember you said, you told me, and you're like, that's it. I'm feeling good where I'm at. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do one in the spring, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome, good for you. And then I
Mm-hmm.
talked to a couple of people at work that have done them, and then I'm like, well, what the hell am I doing, right? Like, the whole point, the whole purpose of joining with you was to be in a better shape than going into my 40s than into my 20s and 30s, really. So I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
why not? Why not have a goal and see what we can do with it? So, but yeah, I
Absolutely.
would have never in a million years thought that I'd go into a competition and actually enjoy it. Part two.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. It takes a certain type of person to be able to do what a competition prep entails, right? But I think it's exciting to like push that envelope and see what like your potential is, and knowing that like that's just round almost like in my head it's just kind of round one, and it's like, oh, you know what, this is the result of this time, like okay, let's look at the drawing board, what do we need to do, and then if we decide to do it again, you have more experience, but also hopefully starting from a better place too, right? So I think it was super cool, and it was also awesome for me to have somebody to do it with as well, because the process is very like I don't know, a lone journey, right? Other sports are like you have teams that you do things, like you're kayaking, it's a team, but like competition prep is technically a pretty solo journey, other than your coach. Like if I did by myself, I would still have my coach that I would consult with and stuff, but it's not the same, right?
Oh, for sure. Like even I've always kind of gravitated towards the sports that are somewhat team based, but
Mm-hmm.
still have a lot of reliance on the individual, like your individual.
Aspect,
So kayaking,
right?
even like for the most part, it was either one, two, or four-man team. So you're still responsible for
Mm-hmm.
your thing. It's not like and I'm not downplaying team sports at all, but it's not like, football and you're like a second string wide receiver that maybe you come on when your team's way up or way down. Like, I'm not downplaying it. Everybody
Yeah.
needs to be on it and it's awesome, but you're so much relying on everybody else at that in it. Whereas, kayaking, swimming, running, like, yeah, running, I was running with a big group and a big team and
Mm-hmm.
we were helping each other. But at the end of the day, it's, am I ready? Did I prepare? Have I set out my everything that I have I got myself to the best position possible when the race starts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And competition prep seemed to be no different. It's like, yeah, you and I were doing it together, and I had a lot of support from family, from friends. I had a lot of people that I hadn't talked to in ages that were kind of coming out of the woodworks and just wanting to chat with me about the process. And I'm like, it
Mm-hmm.
was great to feel, but at the end of the day, it was, did I do everything here to get me into the best possible spot on stage? So it was
Right.
definitely cool to be in that more personal, like you said, it's a very solo and in some ways isolating,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
process, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all in you, it's all in your own head, especially that last month. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And my goal is to hopefully, as we continue to grow and everything, to be able to make competing more and more of a group or team effort, right? Like my dream, and we're gonna watch this video in a couple of years, 2, 3 years, and you're gonna see that we've made this into reality. But I want to be able to be like prepping like a handful of people, and we all just freaking kill it together, and like make an imprint, and not only in terms of like the physique that is being brought to stage, but just more of like the personal growth through the process, and just like have a handful of, I'll describe them just like absolute killers who like in their own lane did such a good job at like transforming themselves. And that's like what this is about. I think a lot of people just like set such limits on themselves. And part of my job that I can hope to do with you guys is like, you know, give you the confidence to know that you can do crazy things like a competition prep just because you believe you can and see it through, right?
Oh, for sure. That'd be, I mean, that'd be awesome. It's one of these misery loves company, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, somewhere, you know, I don't know how many texts you and I had back and forth where like through the dark days of the prep where we're just like, hey, I ate a carrot today. Oh
It's
yeah. Hey, I
amazing.
put this thing up and put it into that. And it tasted like it was something better, like your
Yeah.
oatmeal ice cream surprise there. You're like, oh, all right. What do we have in the macro friendly freezer that I can blend together? Or, you know, what recipes what I was
Yeah.
making healthy donuts found on the internet because I just needed something different to do. And you're like, you know, having you and Courtney to kind of bounce off ideas.
Yeah.
Courtney,
It's funny.
and you, yeah, you, hey, does it suck for you today? Yep, me too.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that prep brain mentality, and it's hard to like understand it until like you're really in the thick of it. And even like when you're out of it, you're like, oh, that actually did kind of suck a little bit, you know. But at the same time, it's so cool, and the amount of like personal growth that you get throughout a competition prep and more. I think competition prep is the biggest way to achieve self awareness. I think out of anything that you can do, because you're forced to look in and you're forced to really start paying attention to everything in your life. And if there's let's say there's a one leaky faucet in your house, and by your house I mean your life, and leaky faucet I mean something that's not, you know, tight, then the competition prep almost like brings that to light almost, right? So
Yeah, it really shows you like everything from the macros to your energy expenditure to your mental capacity, everything. Like you've only got the limited supply, right? Especially when you are I noticed like in that last month, like when you're really diving into the macros and your energy is low and you're like, I don't have time for a lot of this bullshit on the side, right? Like I don't have
mm-hmm,
a lot of time for this drama on this, you know, in this aspect of work. So
mm-hmm,
I'm going to cut that out. It's
mm-hmm,
there, but I don't need to care about it, right? You
mm-hmm.
know, and it's the same like from yeah, from the food. What can I operate on? What is, you know, what do I need to run basic functions for the day? And how can I do this efficiently? You
Yeah.
know, but yeah, like any of this extra stuff, you know, all those leaky faucets, and you're like, yeah, no, I don't need that. I don't know how many times I was at work and, you know, every once in a while you run into a coworker that you just don't jive with the same. And I remember going to another one of my friends and I'm like, I don't have the macros in my body to deal with his crap today. And I would just move to another area
Yeah.
and try to sort him out. I'm like, I don't have it. I don't have time for you.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And it's kind of funny, but it's like, you know, we were talking the other day. It's like I kind of almost become a little bit of a different person. I'm still me, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you essentially remove all the excess from your life because you're like, all my energy needs to spend on things that matter. And for me, during competition prep, especially as you said, the last month is like, okay, get my work done, get my training done, eat my foods, and go to bed. And that's it.
Yeah.
And
I don't have anything. I don't have any. The longer I'm awake, the hungrier I am.
yeah, go to bed
And
at 6:30 p.m. Sounds like a good time for me to go
yeah,
to bed.
I'm out of macros. I can't eat
Yeah,
anything else.
that's
Put a
funny.
little lemon in my water, maybe. But no, there's no. I'm at misery point now. I got to go to bed.
Yeah, yeah. So that's too funny, too funny. But yeah, I'm sorry. Moving on. So okay. So competition prep was done, and then you know we had both a couple of vacations, and we'll call it like a recovery period from dieting and pushing things. And then now that that recovery phase is finished, apart from COVID aside, like what's the vision? Obviously, I know, but if you tell the audience, whoever's listening, what is the vision for the next several months and next, like, you know, foreseeable future here?
So we've been chatting kind of all along, and I know we've kind of tweaked it and changed it as we've hit different milestones. Going, okay, well, this is where we can go. But now, like as of the competition day, I was at the lowest weight that I've been since I was in high school, but with shape and with muscle and it felt good. So now the goal over the next few months is to just take these added calories that they weren't added if if we just kept going, it'd be the same, but it feels like it's added because because we went so low. But to take these added calories, to focus them into the energy and just build. Like I came out of that competition and I looked and I'm like, well, now I know what my body looks like,
Mhm.
because I can't envision getting any any leaner, any thinner. And I'm like, this is the shape. This is what's hiding underneath all of the extra snack pockets that I've had kicking around. Like, this is what's under here. This is the bare bones of me.
Mhm.
And I don't look like, and I know we don't compare, we try not to compare to everybody, but I'm like, I don't have the same shape as some of these guys. And I know that. So what can we do now is let's build. We're going to spend, we want to spend the next handful of months just putting on size without eating like the rock, having 30,000 calories a day, like, to do it gently and to build
Methodically.
up and just build this frame out. Like, this is the purpose now, is to just find these muscles that were there and have started to get, look bigger and look better, and I feel better in the
Mhm.
mirror. Now let's just see if we can pump them up a bit more, and really focus on the areas that I don't want to say we're lacking, but the ones that I want to stand out more going.
Mhm. Mhm. I
And
agree.
then, I know we've talked about never going too far away from where it becomes almost unattainable to get back down should we decide to cut again. So we've got this plan to build, 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 do like the little mini cut just to keep me within a good range, and then we'll build again, and then maybe another little mini cut just to keep the weight in an area that is easier
Well,
should we decide to turn it around, and more functional, right? Like, I
mhm.
know physically the weight that works for me.
Mhm.
I've seen every range now over the last 20 years, and I know where I'm comfortable. So if I can take this comfortable weight and just let's mold it, right? Let's see what it's capable of doing at within a certain weight range.
I agree. It's just like and I think a lot of people, if you have potentially future plans of competing, it's like some people just let themselves get way too heavy relative to where you want to start a competition prep. So you have two options. Either you keep yourself within a range, like you build, 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 like cut away a bit, build, 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 like we were probably doing, or you can build and then like do like a pre-contest prep diet to get yourself into like a good position to start from. Either way, you want to have a decent starting point, but I think there's a happy medium between eating in a surplus and eating enough to like make really good progress in the gym, versus just eating just for the sake of, oh, I'm just gonna eat whatever, and then you just put on way more body fat than you need to, and nobody likes dieting. So
No.
so yeah, I think we have a good game plan, and my game plan is relatively similar. And what I'm hoping is that when the time is right, it'll align in terms of the timeline, and we could do another prep if we decide to together as well. But I think that's super cool, Steve. I think it's really cool, and I think very inspirational for some people in your demographic as well, or some people that have a family life like yourself with two kids and a wife and everything, and a full time job that you can do it too. And if you had to give kind of some words of inspiration as we're kind of closing in on some people that maybe don't know if they could, like they don't have the confidence yet to know that they can truly transform themselves. What would you say to those people who are maybe like, I don't know if I could really actually do something like that?
Well, it's tough. Like, I mean, I've chatted with a kind of similar with a couple of friends over the last little bit, and some old friends were like, I I'm very goal driven, and I need that goal. I need something to aim for. But for me, once I get kind of rolling, it just becomes kind of clockwork. So especially if you're not necessarily goal oriented, or you're having trouble, like, everybody's been everybody's been floundering. I floundered for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
for for the better part of 2 decades, I've kind of floundered in no man's land, right? And so if somebody's just trying to get into it, it's just a matter of getting started. Like, once you get started, like, we all carry an extra few pounds, we all carry a few little things here and there, and it's just once you get going, you start to feel, everything starts to feel better, everything starts to fall into line. So
Mm-hmm.
it's getting over that first hump, right? It's um you know I'm fortunate to have to have a supportive family, to have supportive friends. But at the end of the day, it's all up here, right? It's all mental, and it's just getting. I find just get into that process and don't not you. Whether you make short-term goals, whether you make long-term goals, a combination of both. It's just kind of get that routine, and know that things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've told me a handful of times if you're eating appropriately, whether you're diving into the macros or whether you're just focusing on food choices. If you're eating, you're sleeping, and you're training in some consistency, things will happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that for me, that's it. I just, because, I've got big pictures and big ideas of what I'd like, but at the end of the day, well, I look day at a time, a week at a time. I'm like, hey, that was a good week. Things are going to happen. I focus on the week and a week and a week. And next thing you know, 3-4 months have gone by. I've down a few pounds. My shirts fit differently. And it rolls by then. Then you're in the
Yeah.
groove. So
Momentum. And as you said, if you have the big building blocks in place, that is the foundation for change. You don't need to make it complicated. If you have just a few key variables that we always talk about in place, that's where 80%, 90% of the progress is going to come from. And then the rest, once you get those in place, we can sprinkle the icing on the top.
Exactly. So if you're having trouble getting in and getting started, or you don't think, or you feel like it's been too long since you've done anything, like I know a lot of guys that maybe they ran track in high school, they haven't done a chin up in 20 years, and they're like, well, you can do it again. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
you did it once, you can do it again. Or if you've never done a chin up, well, then that's your goal, and then that's what you want to work on. And just pick something that's going to work for you. I know for me, it's at the end of the day, it's aesthetics. I want to look a certain way. I don't know which way exactly, but I know I've got in my mind I want to look different than what I'm currently working with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how are we going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So I know for some people it's just I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, well that's your goal, and then once you get in there, you're like, well, it doesn't just have to be the 20 pounds. Maybe, well, now now this weight's coming off. I'm going to adapt. And I'm like, well, the weight's coming off, but now, you know what? Maybe I really want to work on my leg strength and my core
Mm-hmm.
strength. Like you can be adaptable through the process. I
Yeah.
think you and I just got together and it was like, I'm a few pounds over and I want to look better. That was I think that
That
was
was
like
the initial
that was the
conversation.
initial goal, right? And what have we gone with from there? We're like, okay, well, at some point you got to get leaner so that we can find abs. I'm like, great, I've never had an abs. Let's see if we got a couple in there. But like we just tweak. At the end, the goal is going to be the same. It's still trying to improve my physique and what I want it to look
Mm-hmm.
like. But we just tweak it a little bit, right? A little sprinkling of the ears, like, hey, this is really going well for you. Your shoulders are looking really good. Why don't we look at this and give you something more positive, more specific to focus on? And then, but yeah, again, another month goes by and you're like, holy crap, look at this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
It's
walk by the door a little bit differently every once in a while. You're like, man,
Yeah,
you know,
it's that pivoting, and I think people look at like these before and afters, and they just see it as like one linear type. Okay, well, I went from here to here, but in reality, it's like we might pivot it a few times in between it. Like a year of work is a lot of time, right?
oh,
So we have multiple pivots and different things. So it's like yes, you see this and this, but it's like it didn't all happen in this like straight line. So I think that's a good takeaway for people as well.
exactly. It's not, it's not overnight. It's not quick. It's not an easy
Mm-hmm.
process, but it doesn't have to be difficult either. Like, I mean, even if you're not looking into the macros, like if we eat a little better, like some of the basics, right? We were just watching watching the calorie count a little bit, watching the macros, getting some steps, and then doing a few workouts a week. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like
That's
it's
the
not
magic. That's the magic at Sweet Body
it's not,
System. So there's our
yeah,
secret. He just told you guys.
yeah, that is the big secret right there. It's not, there's certainly a lot of science and magic behind the curtains. The Wizard of Oz makes gets the program and everything, but at the end of the day, it's not all that complicated. And certainly when you've got somebody, you've got one or two people behind you that are basically laying out the plans, you're like, you know, I know that's what I need. Like, just give me, what do I do? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we do. This is the 6-week plan. Okay, we'll check in every week and we'll see how it goes. But this is what you want me to do for the next month. Okay. Oh,
Awesome.
it didn't work out this week, but it worked out this week, and there were things, and can we tweak this? And but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple process.
Mhm.
As long as you can be motivated to get into the gym and pushing heavy things around a few times a week.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good point. I'm glad to hear that because I do, we do try to make it as simple as possible while still getting, the results that we want. But yeah, that's awesome, Steve. Super thankful that you came on today, and I think there's some people that could really find some inspiration in this, as I said before. But yeah, thank you very much, and we'll definitely be keeping up with your journey so people will see more from you on the channel.
Sounds good. And yeah, if if a 40-year-old shift worker with married with 2 kids and 2 pets dealing with COVID twice and injuries, if I can make things happen, I don't think I don't think I'll be alone in that one. And like you said, maybe a few years down the road, we got a few more Truth Body members up on the stage, triple tanned in our speedos.
And oiled up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, glazed. No, we were glazed, not
Sorry,
oiled.
glaze. Oh, like a donut. At that point, I would have eaten a few glazed donuts.
Oh yeah, there might have been a couple. I may have eaten a handful of those cookies after we left that stage the second time. Not gonna lie,
May have.
definitely
I
did.
did too. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll stay tuned. Have a good one.